She's literally just getting started. Like, it's about to go sicko mode.
I mean, it's honestly a little bit scary how successful she is at like emoting. What is she?
Who's that?
No. Why are they dressed like that? What is going on?
Hi Swifties, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I am the Taylor Swiftologist, and if you don't know me, I am a Swiftie by choice and a journalist by trade. And today I'm going to be applying my organizational and analytical skills to another facet of dissecting the public life of my favorite pop persona, Taylor Swift, by exposing my friend to the high highs and some of the lows, not too many because I'm really trying to win her over here, of Taylor Swift's career. Hi Maya.
Hi.
Welcome to my channel. This is my friend Maya. We've been friends for,
I would say like
10 years, too many years, basically.
Very long.
And Maya has always known me
It's true.
to be a Swiftie.
It's true. You've always been a Swiftie. I remember there was this one time when I was in New York and you were still here in Singapore, and I got this call from you like really late at night, and it's you freaking out that you managed to win like tickets to meet Taylor.
I forgot that.
Yeah, you called me when I was in New York. You're like, you're the first person I called. And I was like,
Why?
I don't know.
You may notice that Maya is in her Reputation era today. I have forced her to wear this Reputation shirt because I feel like, it's going to endear her to the audience. Everybody, Rep is like a big Stan album. Like, people are very obsessed with it. It's not my Stan album, but like some people are very into it. So for context, Maya, maybe you can shed a little bit of light on how you feel about Taylor Swift, what you know of her, what you've witnessed, and what your overall thoughts are. Be honest.
I feel like everything I know about Taylor I see from you.
By proxy.
By proxy. Because I don't really like keep up with Western music super hard. I told you this the other day. If you held a gun to my head and said explain Taylor's version, I would die. I don't know.
I was speechless when she told me this.
Know.
Speechless. I mean, I am Taylor's version. Literally my whole, everything that I am. My whole life is Zach Taylor's version. What have you seen from Taylor Swift throughout her career? Like, what do you remember?
Okay,
For context,
wait,
it's very little.
Can I get my phone?
Yes, go ahead.
Teardrops on my guitar. Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone.
Love story. Banger, yes.
The Harry Styles X song.
You see, this one is ambiguous to me because there are many of those. Is it We Never Go Out of Style? Is it that song? We never go out of style.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
He wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts.
I can't believe you don't know the title of that song. Like, frat boys know this song. You belong with me, Maya. You belong with me.
The Katy era.
Oh. And Katie's era, or the era where Taylor was just relentlessly attacking Katy Perry?
Bad Blood.
Okay, well, yes. Okay, relentless, unjust attacks.
Look What You Made Me Do.
Mm-hmm.
And
The Shot Heard Around the World.
yes. 22. Shake It Off.
Yes. Slay.
We're never ever getting back together. And then the GOAT one.
So I knew you were trouble. I think that those are all the songs that basically
I feel like those
can
are
escape.
yeah, because those are constantly playing. Some of them highly memed.
And no matter who you are in this world,
Yeah.
what circle you run in,
Yeah.
those are kind of her ubiquitous songs, I feel.
Yeah.
Which is interesting for me to hear, what the songs that people know that aren't invested in her are. But I want to show you the real Taylor Swift, okay? I want to show you what her career's all about, what her mission in life is. I want to give you a taste of the excellence. I did ask my subscribers for some suggestions of what to show you, and quite frankly, some of you were saying the most crazy shit. So I will not be playing Paper Rings for Maya. I will be playing her the actual standouts from her discography, not the flops. Although we will go through some of the flops at the end. Of course, I have to take Maya through the Lover era. It is regrettably part of the story that must be told in order to explain her fully. But yeah, you're gonna have a real adventure today, especially when you get to the Lover era. I feel like that's gonna be an interesting moment for you. But basically what I've done, just to explain to everybody watching, is I have tried to go through each era and pick one song that is not a super popular song, but I feel describes and sums up the era pretty well, and then maybe a clip of an interview for each era, kind of explaining what was going on. And then if they're too long, which some of them are, then I will just surmise for you. I'll give you a snapshot overview. Okay, so the first video that I'm gonna show Maya is our song. Have you heard the song before?
No.
You don't think so?
I
mean,
don't
maybe
think so.
you will, but this one is kind of goes under the radar, but I feel like this is actually the undiscovered supermodel of the first debut era.
Can I also okay, is this chronological?
Mm-hmm. It's
Okay.
chronological. So this
So
is
is this-
around the time of Teardrops on My Guitar.
Okay, okay.
It's that era.
Okay,
So it's
so we're
like
going-
she's country
okay.
girl, she's writing songs in her little diary in school, she's pretending to be a country girl. That's fake, by the way. She's not actually.
Really?
Yeah, her country accent is like fake. She's literally from Pennsylvania.
You
Not
said-
off to a great start, but you know what? It's
I
our
always
song.
thought that she was like she would she started off very like Christian rock. That was the impression that I got.
Well, you know what? This song kind of supports that assumption because she
Love
was really
that.
cosplaying as like a Republican, really. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Okay.
At the end of the day, she was trying to be like, oh, I love God and the country.
Damn girl, for free? The topics?
Right at the beginning, too.
How old is she?
How old is she?
How old is
here?
she?
16, maybe 17.
Okay.
She's not 18, that's for sure.
Yeah.
She's like not an adult yet. I think that this is like actually in hindsight very sexual.
I was about to say she's looking very, or she was styled very softcore.
Softcore. Well, you know what's interesting is that
Yeah.
Taylor like has a lot of agency over her image, always has from the very beginning.
Okay.
So she did
Well,
it to
admit, look,
herself.
if anything was gonna hook, line, and pull those Republicans in,
this is it.
I mean, her hair looks great. Wait, play what again?
Our song is the slam of screen doors, sneaking out late, tapping on your window.
Got it.
I'm gonna stop it there. What do you
Okay.
think so far of this? This is like the
I
first
mean-
banger, I would suppose.
Okay, so first of all, this definitely recalls something in my brain. I probably have heard this before. I just forgot about it. It's definitely catering to a very select audience and working really well.
Yes, it's doing everything it needs to
Doing
do.
everything it needs to do. I'm not a country girl, but like I'm not that offended by it.
Also, she wrote this for her 9th grade talent show.
Oh, okay. Well,
Definitely
then-
more talented than I was in 9th grade.
Yeah.
So what would you rate our song on a scale of 1 to 10? A million.
But like on what ground? I do. I feel like I understand. This is where this was like her roots. Like this is where she came from. I haven't seen anything past this. This adds up for me, knowing that this is where she started off.
Yeah, this song I think is forgotten a lot in favor of Teardrops on My Guitar.
This actually, I feel like I like better than Teardrops.
Really? Now that is a scoop.
I don't know. I think it's just more appealing.
I would say this has more of a sense of humor.
Exactly. That's what it is. My preference for pop stars, just in general, is that I like work that's more fun. It can be critical, but more importantly, like more campy or fun. I think
Yes.
pop stars should be fun, basically.
I agree with you. And you know what? I think Taylor learned that lesson as she
Good.
went through her career.
That's good.
But I think something that you always get from her is that she's having fun
Yeah.
while she's doing whatever she's doing. Like when
Yeah.
she's not like moping and sobbing and crying
Especially
on
if
the
you're
floor.
saying that she's always had a certain level of agency to certain parts of her career.
So that was the first album, her debut album. So that had
Okay.
Teardrops on My Guitar, Our Song, all of that.
Okay.
It did really well, but she quite quickly went into what some may say is her magnum opus, which is called Fearless. So it's her second album. This one has Love Story and You Belong With Me.
See, that's so crazy because I always felt that like You Belong With Me or Love Story, like because I recognize Fearless as like
A title.
a title as like a whole era. I always figured that was at least like 3 to 4 albums into her career. I didn't realize
second.
that was her second.
And it
Okay.
followed very hot off the heels of the first record.
That's pretty crazy, actually, that was her second release.
With Fearless, I feel like she's always trying to evolve.
Wait, Joe Jonas.
Yes. Okay, so in the Taylor Swift cinematic universe,
Okay.
we have our protagonist, Taylor Swift, but then we also have our, foibles, our antagonists,
Wow.
which are mostly men, as they should be. And one of them, I mean, in the early days, she was, because that she writes songs about her exes, right? Like, surely you've heard that before. She, writes breakup songs about boys she dated.
Yeah.
Joe Jonas was, like, the first high-profile boy that broke her heart. So he got the first wallop, basically. And she was, I want to say 18 or 19 when she was doing this.
Okay.
And she, most of the Fearless album was written before they broke up, but she tacked on one song at the end of the writing process because Joe Jonas broke her heart so savagely. And I'm going to play that song for you, but I wanted to show you where she kind of this is where the sassy, Taylor Swift is evil stuff kind of starts to happen because
Okay.
she definitely realizes that like leveraging her relationships will help her get more publicity, which helps her sell records.
Okay, well, there are two blondes in this video, and only one of them is actually truly evil, so.
It's Ellen, by the way.
It's Ellen.
It's the other
It's Ellen.
evil figure in this video.
Somebody like, you know, that guy.
Mm-mm.
There's
So
one.
rude, frankly.
That guy, that's ouch. Label let me record that song right before the album had to be done.
That's on here now?
Yeah, it's completely on there.
What's the name of the song that's about that?
It's called Forever and Always.
That's sarcasm, forever and always?
Definitely, definitely. When I find that person that is right for me, I'm not even gonna be able to remember the boy who broke up with me over the phone in 25 seconds when I was 18.
So
Spilled.
I think here we can see the vindictive side of her that is always present. And to me, is one of the most interesting things about her as a musician and as a celebrity is that she has these very intense personal vendettas that she finds very hard to let go of. Like she only forgave
Wait,
formerly
when's-
Joe Jonas like 4 years ago.
Slay. When's her birthday?
December 13th, she's a Sag.
Now that I'm thinking about it, is that like, okay, so her record label allowed her to write all of these songs about her exes in vindictive manners of varying degrees depending where she was in her life, correct?
Mhm. Yes.
And they allowed her to release them like without any issue really,
hmm
which I can see as like, you know, a very obvious marketing ploy and benefit for them because it gains traction,
Mhm.
of course. But I mean, okay, so she's 18 right now. She's still like a young woman.
hmm
And my thoughts is that like, okay, so you have a record company letting her do all this stuff for very obvious reasons. What sort of protection did they ever give her in regards to like the backlash that they knew that she was gonna get in regards to releasing all these things? Because doing that isn't easy, and like they knew exactly what Taylor also did know to a certain degree what would be happening or what the result of releasing music like that would be.
I think for most of it, she was pretty happy. She courted it. I think she
Okay.
realized it and she really initiated a lot of it because, like I
Okay.
said, she had a lot of agency, right? Which
Sure.
also means that she has to take a lot of responsibility for how things unfold.
Sure.
But I think she didn't realize that this had a bad side to it until
Yeah.
further on in her career,
Yeah.
when she couldn't really get away from this stereotype of her being very vindictive and calculating, right?
Yeah.
Then she realized, oh shit, well, I laid it all up like that and now I want to swap it and change it, but that's not how like public image works, right? Like they
No.
remember things. They have a
Yeah.
long memory and a fucked up skewed
people,
memory.
people want to remember like the bad parts about things more than they do about the good things anyway. 'Cause
More
those are-
scandalous, more
Yeah.
interesting. But this, I'd say, was the first kind of direct time she called someone out.
Yeah.
And I think it felt really good for her to do in the moment.
I mean, of course. I mean, like, you're a young girl who's just had her heart shattered by, like, one of her first major boyfriends.
Who also happens to be a huge
Who
celebrity.
happened to be a huge celebrity. You both were in a very public sphere in this relationship, and him feeling fucked over is a
Valid.
powerful feeling.
So I wanted to play you the song, this song, Forever and Always. So this is from the Fearless Tour. It's her first headlining tour. And for extra added drama, she like did a little stage setup where she reenacted an interview that she had about this scenario, and
The
then she
Ellen
kind of just
one?
like played off of it.
Okay.
Not the Ellen one necessarily,
Oh.
but like something similar. Big context. So she's coming up under the stage with
Okay.
these two chairs.
Yeah.
The interviewer in the video before this has asked, what do you say to guys who maybe don't want to date you because you write songs about them?
Okay.
And she said, well, if guys don't want me to write bad songs about them, they shouldn't do bad things.
True.
T.
Okay.
So that's what's happening here. Slay.
Drama. I love the chair choreography. I love the 13 tattoo.
Yeah, always, every day she draws it on her hand every
I
night.
bet you drew that on your
Yeah. Oh, I did. Oh my god, how did you know? I did.
Because it's something you would do. I just know you.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Yeah, wow.
Fuck that IKEA furniture. Oh.
Goodbye.
Tay-tay.
You know it had to be hollow.
Okay,
like,
slay
look
the
at those
hair.
spindly arms, right? Look at her. She's serving.
No, she is. Yeah. Look, she had an IKEA chair set and a red dress and a dream.
And a red lip, don't forget.
A red lip.
She was a woman scorned. She's really channeling that here,
No, she
though.
is.
Scarlet
No,
Letter
I'm just
vibes.
kidding. No, it's
This was part of the same era as Love
No,
Story.
honestly,
and
I
You
love
Belong
that.
With Me.
No, I love that.
You did? You loved it? Yay! It's camp. That is
No,
camp.
no,
it's
it's
very
fair.
camp.
No, because like even though okay, not to like make light of her very serious emotional situation.
No,
but,
please
like,
do. We have.
But
we
like,
do.
no, that was fucking funny.
Well-
that was a lot to do.
Yep. Like, if Joe Jonas knew that breaking up with her over a 20-second phone call was
Yeah.
going to lead to all of this,
Yeah.
and keep in mind, this is like basically a smear campaign against him for
No,
many
it
years.
is 100% a smear campaign. Like she really did.
Poor man. She
did
did numbers.
She did the most.
She did the most.
She did the most.
And we love to see it.
No, honestly, it was really good.
This is definitely, I think it speaks more to like the everyday experience of being a teenager and having like volatile emotions.
It speaks to being fearless.
I hate you. But this was the same time as Love Story and You Belong With Me. And I
That's
feel like this is a
crazy.
different
No,
kind
it's
of
crazy.
flavor and
It's crazy.
side to it,
Yeah.
right?
No, it is.
Because she had a very good girl reputation. It was very like buttoned
Wait,
up and
yeah.
sweet and prissy. And this
Yeah.
is definitely a little bit more.
Right. But even though, like, I will have to say, like, You Belong With Me, there's a certain tone in that song.
Ooh, there's a rage.
Yeah, there is.
You belong with me.
Yeah.
Bitch. This was like her breakout moment. She was really
Right.
saturating the public
Okay.
consciousness. And at the end of the day, what happens? She is, I think at the time, the youngest person ever to win Album of the Year at the Grammys.
Okay.
And she was up against Beyonce, Lady Gaga,
Oh.
all the queen. Here is her winning Album of the Year. Also, she looked gorge. I love this dress. And she looks gorge. I love the
That's very
dress.
cute. Yeah. Oh, she's got such teenage posture.
I know.
Look at her neck. You can tell she was blogging.
She was.
We get to take this back to Nashville.
Her fake home.
Thank you.
She had big musical theater kid energy.
Yes.
Yes.
She delivered that monologue like no other.
But this was a big moment, honestly. This
Oh,
was
yeah,
a
no,
very
it's
big
huge for
moment.
her, yeah.
She got a lot of backlash to
Sure.
this.
Yeah, because, you know,
Everyone was
winning
saying-
against Beyonce is hard, first of all.
Also, you know, young woman writes all her own songs. I mean,
Yeah.
the kind of first instinctive response people had to this was that she doesn't write her songs. Like, she's
Right.
got a ghostwriter that's doing
Yeah.
all the work for her. She could never do it herself. Which leads us straight into her next album. It's called Speak Now. So her next album, this is the one that probably you would have heard nothing about because this one really flew under the radar because it had no radio hits.
Oh.
Yeah, so basically to respond to that criticism that she basically was not an artist, instead of chasing another like big kind of commercial album, which either way it was a big commercial album, it just didn't have like enduring hits like Love Story and You Belong With Me. She was like, I'm gonna write a whole album completely by myself, no co-writers. Like I'm not
Okay.
gonna have a single person in the room with me.
I love
I'm
how
gonna do
she's
it all
just
myself.
fueled with rage. Like, that's a really, like, that's what gets Taylor up every day.
Legit. Oh, that's why Taylor's version is a thing.
That,
like she
that's,
is
she gets up
fueled.
every day fueled by rage. She brews tea with rage. She writes,
She brews it, drinks it, spills
drinks it, spills it.
This is a little clip of her explaining Speak Now.
Okay.
We're not gonna watch the whole thing, just like a little, so you get a sense of where she's at in her life.
And as the writer of the entire record, a lyric compliment is like the best compliment for me. That's the one where I just like get so excited and it makes my day.
At this point in her career, she was still the underdog.
Sure, yeah.
Like she hadn't really
She had
been
just been under.
acknowledged.
Oh, it's so funny how she's the underdog, but like won a Grammy.
Well,
but-
this is the whole the
Yeah.
dichotomy of it, right? Everyone's like, why are you still
Right.
portraying yourself as someone who's like up against these huge battles when clearly like you are very successful in your field? But what she craved was that like critical acclaim,
yeah.
not just the selling. She wanted to be taken
Sure.
seriously as an artist.
Which is valid, which is a valid feeling for a girl her age to receive those comments.
Still very fairy tale focused, but it was
Sure.
like more real life situations creeping into her songs.
Yeah.
She also had a fresh new crop of famous exes to contend with on this record.
Oh, I know.
John Mayer.
Yikes.
Literally, I just like to take a moment and say good morning to everyone except John Mayer. That's
Agreed.
First of all.
Yeah.
So she was 19 and he was like 30 years
Oh,
old.
I'm aware.
when
I
they
remember. I
dated.
remember that era very, very well.
If you were a 30-year-old man, would you be like, I think that's someone who's appropriate for me to be in a relationship with?
Well, like, how mentally sane am I?
Not very.
Well, then yes.
Exactly.
I mean, I
and
said
that's
it-
John Mayer's frame
I mean,
of
I
mind.
said it from the start. I mean, like, you literally showed me, like, the first video, and I was like, hold on, who is this mommy that I'm seeing on screen right now? Like, this is like a 17-year-old white girl from Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
does she look
what?
like?
Why is she looking like this?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think, again, if we're talking about like failures of people around her to protect her maybe from situations that she shouldn't have been in,
Yeah.
this would have been one of them, although she does kind of address in the song that she wrote about John Mayer that her mom was like, please don't. And she was like, but I will. Mom was like, that's a bad idea.
But I
And she was
will.
like, I'm gonna do it anyway. So she wrote a song called Dear John.
I know that one.
She was being pretty clear. Have you heard that one before?
No.
Okay. This is probably like the pinnacle of her songwriting. It's like her most vengeful,
What, her
most
magnum
takedown.
opus?
Yeah, this is one of them. I mean,
Okay.
most people would say All Too Well, which is another one we're going to check out, is
Okay.
her magnum opus. It's
Okay.
kind of up in the air between these two, in my opinion. Okay,
Yeah.
don't destroy me in the comments. In my opinion.
Actually, no, please do. I want to see.
Well, actually, I'll let you be the judge. You can see which one you think is her magnum
Okay.
opus. So
Okay.
Dear John and All Too Well are the ones that you need to like
Okay.
think about.
Wait, are those like the two essentials? That
Yes, yes. These are the essential,
Okay.
essential songs that you have to hear.
Okay.
There's another song on Speak Now called Enchanted that I feel like it's a very swooning song. It's like a fairy tale, like
Okay.
I'm in love song, and it's beautiful. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to show you one long Taylor Swift song from this era, and it's Dear John. John Mayer literally never recovered from this. He like had to take a 2-year hiatus after this came out because she burnt him at the stake. Like he was literally not okay. He had a mental breakdown after this came out. He
I
was like
love that.
very, and he wrote her like angry emails,
Oh, I'm
and he was
sure.
saying
Yeah.
shitty stuff about her in interviews. And of course, literally all she ever said was this song.
That's good.
That's it. That was her only comment.
Yeah.
And the brilliance of it is that she wrote it in a John Mayer style.
Well, I heard that.
Mhm.
I knew that about this song. I just had never heard it because honestly, I'm not favorable towards John Mayer's style of music.
You're in a safe space, girl.
Okay, I hate,
You
I hate
are
John.
in a safe space.
I hate John Mayer's music, so why would I listen to a song that sounds like John
Exactly.
Oh, girl, you did. Girl, you did.
She is reading him for Phil.
No, genuinely.
She
Like,
is-
she is obliterating him.
She's literally just getting started. Like it's about to go sicko mode.
Points were made. Several, actually.
Several throughout.
Several.
What a moment.
I mean, she looks good.
Yeah.
First of all,
Makeup
She,
snatched.
no, she looks good.
She looks beautiful.
Yeah, no, she like completely obliterated his ass and looked good doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
She stepped on him. She ruined his life.
yeah.
Also, I feel like in a very subtle way, she is like criticizing him on things that he can't even respond back to.
Sure.
Like, don't you think 19's too young to be played by your dark, twisted games? Who can beg to differ?
Yeah.
Who can beg to differ
I mean,
from
like
that?
she picked a very strategic argument there, because there's very little that he can respond to in any sort of like dignified manner.
Well, any response that he had would be undignified, and it
Sure.
was. So honestly, there was literally no way she was going to come out of this not looking like the winner.
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, her releasing this song and in the way that she did, like, she did that with a lot of like empowerment in mind. But like, still at the end of the day, like, she was a 19-year-old girl who got roped into a relationship with a man who was 31, who was bad, manipulative, and awful. So I mean,
It's very clear, right, from the song exactly what the situation is.
Of
Like, I
course.
just don't see how you could
I mean,
turn
like
it around
her
on her.
saying like you're never impressed by me, like
Acing your
like,
test.
acing your test. No.
Ooh, you're an expert at keeping lines blurry. I mean,
Stupid.
come
Anyway,
on.
and she made several points. Like, sure, it was about her, but it made several points. I think across the board in regards to relationships, especially like talking about one of the biggest male singers or songwriters at that time.
Unassailable. He was like the
Honestly,
golden
yeah.
child.
He really was for that period of time. On,
Also taken very seriously in
Yes.
music, which is maybe something that she didn't have at that time.
Exactly. Yeah. On a world stage in an industry that was dominated by so many men just like him. at
It
that
is kind
time.
of crazy that she did this.
No, it's extremely crazy and extremely gutsy and only something like I feel a Sagittarius would do.
No, but you make a good point actually, which is that like I feel like Taylor's writing is at its best, like it shines brightest when it's personal details that can be applied broadly and
Yeah.
universally. It's not so specific
I mean,
that it's
she-
unrelatable.
I mean, it's honestly a little bit scary how successful she is at like emoting or pulling people into like emoting. And I know that she's the type of bitch who like head spirals.
Literally, she spirals every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like, as much as she does get the contrived critique,
Sure.
you can tell at least the very minimum, the music is genuine.
No,
Like
yeah.
it comes from
No, it does.
it comes from a deep emotional disturbance. And
No, it does.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I don't think there's anything fake or like anything standoffish or anything put on about like her music. I know that above anything, that's what she takes most seriously, if not herself.
After a brief intermission, we are back, and we have left the Speak Now era, and we have now entered Red. Now, this is my stan album. This is my favorite part of the Taylor Swift legacy story. I think that this album just has
At all.
something for everyone, right? This is the album with I Knew You Were Trouble, with 22, with We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. But I feel like what you don't know, because of the bangers from that album, it's deceptively like one of her saddest albums. It's like, this to me is her, you know when you like first realize that you're in your 20s? Like you're not 21 anymore, but you're like in your 20s?
Yeah.
And you start to realize like, okay, decisions that I make now are gonna affect me for the rest of my life.
I just want to make it clear that I'm 26, that I've been bumming my 20s around, and I'm intimately familiar with this thought, but I am not intimately familiar with the feeling of feeling like I failed.
I wouldn't say it's not like a fail thing. It's
Okay.
more kind of, she's like, who am I?
Oh.
Like, what's my place in the world?
Who am I?
Literally. But also she was coming off a very, very intense heartbreak. So she had another relationship with an older man at this time,
no.
Jake Gyllenhaal. I know, another person who like I want to root for, but just has disturbed man energy. I feel like he hates women.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like, you know,
Yeah.
it's always the men who grow up with like really close relationships with their sister and their mother that end up being like the biggest misogynists when it comes down to it.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of men who grew up with very strong feelings about what a woman should be, as influenced by maybe some of the women that they observe in their life very closely, they form harder prejudice.
So they project, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like 90% of hatred is projection, so yeah.
Are you familiar with the work of Joni Mitchell?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she has an album called Blue,
Mm.
which is about like, you know, feeling sad and like melancholic and having very like introspective moments in your
Yeah.
life. Taylor discovered that album when she was writing Red. Isn't that, do you see Red, Blue?
I mean, look, Taylor's filled with rage. So
Literally.
Red.
Well, here's the thing. So her, like, she always has a conceit that ties the album together. So the conceit for this one is like every, like, when you're in a relationship, all of those intense emotions, like
Yeah.
that passion, that lust, that anger, that sadness, she says all of those emotions are red to her when she thinks of them as colors in her brain. So that's how this album, I mean, it's a very chaotic album. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Which is what I like about it, but what some people can't stand about it. But the enduring song from this period of time is called All Too Well. And this is the song. Like, the critics call this like her best song ever. So when she was putting this album out, she didn't expect people to respond to this song like this. Like it was just another heartbreak song that she had on the album.
Yeah.
But it was her best of all time. And what they didn't realize was that there was a 10-minute version in the vault, hidden, tucked away. And she had mentioned it a couple times over the years, but, you know, obviously the fans started harassing her and doing a campaign, like, release the 10-minute version of All Too Well. I was always under the assumption that it didn't exist and she was just, like, making it up. But then...
Which also iconic.
Yes, which also iconic, and also, like, still might be true. We're not sure. I mean, you know, I think there was definitely a heavy editing hand taken to the version that came out.
Fair.
But basically, when she did the Taylor's versions, she re-released Red last year.
Okay.
So to promote it, she was like, you know what? I'm gonna put on the album the full 10 fucking minutes of All Too Well. And this is her Dear John for Jake Gyllenhaal, basically.
Great, yeah.
So she also came up with a short film directed
Okay.
by her. She's in it, kind of, at the end. Dylan O'Brien is in it. Sadie Sink is in it. Are you familiar with these people and their work?
No. So this is Taylor's version.
This is Taylor's version, yes.
Ah, I finally understand now.
Yes, you get it now.
I get it.
We'll get into why, but Taylor's version is basically something that she's already put out but re-recorded.
Got it. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Well, you were right. It's like a lot of kissing.
Oh, it's giving like a montage of like the dead wife.
Yes, it is. Oh my god, it is.
It's like dead wife montage.
It is. She dies at the end. But spoiler alert.
Critics are like, yes!
They're like, yes, slay girl boss. This was quite grown up for her at the time as well.
Yeah. I mean, but what, she was like 22?
Yeah.
I mean,
She'd maintained this kind of like facade of being a very virginal princess though. So
Right.
when she wanted to grow up, she had to do it kind of subtly in the public eye.
she's 22. she's had a couple years of life experience. Given that she's Taylor Swift and she's not living a normal life compared to a lot of people, one may argue that you do get yourself clearly into more adult situations at the time. Whether or not you gain maturity from that is completely
Up to you.
It seems that she did gain at the very, I don't know, I can't speak to that level because I don't really know her thing that well, but like she did gain a lot of life experience.
Oh, for sure.
It seems that how she describes her relationships through her songs, the ones that she continually kept on getting into, were very volatile.
Up and down, crazy, very intense.
And it was
short-lived as well, very short and
Yeah.
intense, brief.
And
And she was very focused on love.
Okay.
And I feel like it's also part of her business, right? Like between
Sure.
albums, she was like, okay, I gotta like go fall in love now, so I have something to write about. That does cross my mind if that like played into it at all.
It's weird. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe it did, but I mean, I feel like at the very least, emotions were probably real for her. Also, I just love that this is just like, this movie, and I guess like the real life movie itself is just, you know, the ups and downs and perils of being like a couple of like two very rich, white, successful people in a relationship.
That are literally just living it out.
That are literally just living.
Like that Swifties are literally gonna kill me for not making you watch it all the way through.
But apparently she dies. That's all I
No,
need
she
to know.
doesn't. That was a joke.
Okay.
She doesn't actually die. I'm just gonna make you do the bridge because this is like the famous part. I actually think, you know, if I were to do this again, if I was to start it over, I would just play you the normal version of All Too Well because like that's the edited, that's the really tight version.
Okay.
What's special about this is that it's like been festering or like it's been lingering in a vault for a really long time. This full like kind of a rambling version of this song.
Sure.
But the bridge is like the
The thing.
she's
the main
known for
event.
writing a good bridge. You saw it with Dear John.
No,
like,
yeah,
she
the
goes
bridge,
crazy.
The bridge goes hard. What do you think they're arguing about in real life?
Well, this is the question, right? What do you think of that compared to Dear John? Do you have a like? What's your overall thought on that so far?
I feel like the story here is more,
Mundane.
well, it's more mundane, but I feel like it's drawn out
Mm-hmm.
in a way that Dear John is very like punctual about.
She's saying something. She's got something to say in Dear John, whereas this kind of sounds the way a memory is. Like it
Yeah,
kind
like
of just
this
unfolds
feels
over
actually
you.
more like a story, whereas Dear John is literally probably
An
just
attack.
Like that letter.
It's an attack. It's an affront
It's
on
an
someone.
affront.
A well-deserved attack, to
Yeah,
be fair.
well deserved. And it's interesting to see, like, or I guess to consider her like positioning of like herself in these two things. It's pretty identical.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing really has changed.
She's the wounded party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the Taylor
Nothing
Swift victim
really-
thing comes from.
Right. Okay. Nothing really has changed. It seems that the like, I guess the things that happen to her, like the afflictions, are pretty much like on this, at least like partially at the same level.
Like she's been thrown away. I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of the link between the two songs.
It's like, and I feel like it's the thing is like, oh, like they're like not they're not hearing me, or like they're not like taking me seriously. They don't prioritize me.
miscommunications,
Yeah.
which I feel like happen a lot when you first start like dating people.
Well, I mean, like think about it. Like, what in common does a 19 and 31-year-old man have to talk about?
Nothing. Which brings us to the median point, which is 1989. So this is probably like, you know, her picture of.
Is this her like Drew Barrymore? In the
Yes.
Rain movie?
Yes.
Got
So
it.
this is Shake It Off. This is Blank Space.
Oh yeah.
This is where she's like, I'm gonna move to New York and become a girl boss, and like,
Mm.
don't ask me about boys because I'm not dating them. I'm single, and I'm wearing a purse every day and like wearing a crop top. And what are you gonna do about it? And she was getting a little bit more, I guess, sexy in a Taylor Swift way, not in
Okay.
like an actual like provocative way. But this is when she started hanging out with the Victoria's Secret fashion models, and I think that
is
this was.
is this at the point where she started building her Taylor army?
Yes, the Girl Squad.
The Girl
Squad to
Okay.
destroy Katy Perry's life. Yes, this is the time. That's the time. Ah!
Okay.
So exciting. But yeah, this also was kind of the beginning of
I know
her
Blank
problems.
Space.
Oh, you know Blank Space. Okay, so we don't have to get into Blank Space. She knows Blank Space. Kind of like for her, she also left country behind. She was like, I'm not
yeah.
doing country
Yeah.
anymore. You can kind of see it with Red, but Red still had a couple of country songs on it. She had a big fight with her label over 1989 because they were like, just put three country songs on it and we're good. And she was like, no, I want this to be like clear and focused and sharp. It was a much shorter album than the rest of her albums, 13 songs.
That's still
Very short for her,
Okay.
but long for other people. I mean, there was a deluxe version with 16 songs. But like Red had like 20. So there's a difference, right? She's trimming. She also worked with Max Martin on this entire album. He like famous producer of Britney, Baby One More Time, Oops I Did It Again. He's like the hit machine, the hit maker. You go to Max Martin if you want to be a pop star, honey. You've seen Shake It Off, Blank Space, Style, Bad Blood.
Yes.
So I guess you can see why this was her most successful era. That's the one you know most from.
Yeah, and also the one that has the largest, I think, variety of hair for her.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, she cut her hair. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
She cut her hair short.
Yep. She's always been a long hair girl.
Oh, yeah,
like
and
that.
she was like, chop, chop, chop.
And it was like a rough cut too. Like
yeah,
she was
shaggy.
Like she was really going through her like you know when like Jenny in Gossip Girl goes bad.
Yes.
That.
And she like literally goodbye. Well, that's I feel like Jenny is Reputation. Like that's her. This is her Reputation era. But this is the precursor to all of that. To give you an idea of like how she changed, she became very studied, shall we say?
Yeah.
And very like, I am a pop star now. Like it was less about being relatable and more about being aspirational.
Sure.
So
She
as an
felt lost.
example, I'll show you like how she reworked her old stuff to fit in with this new like version of who she is.
Oh,
So
Love
this
Story
is
remix.
yes, this is the 1989 version of Love Story, which I
Was
happen to
1989
love.
her birth year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Of course she did that. Do you like it?
I mean, it's definitely a huge departure from the original version.
It's less cutesy, but you can see like she's all about like looking like a Victoria's Secret model, basically, like legs, ass out, strutting around.
Ass.
This era was about being skinny.
No, this
for
this
her.
really was I'm skinny.
Yeah,
This is
no,
Skinny
it
Taylor.
was I'm skinny,
Skinny
and I'm on
Taylor.
tour. That's
Yeah.
it. That was the I'm Skinny World Tour actually. I mean, you can only fall from here, right? Like you get so high. You can see like if I was someone in the music industry, I would be like, we need to fuck this bitch up. Like she's just had it
she
too
just
good
did
for
Blank
too
Space,
long,
like,
literally.
Yeah.
She's like she can't even if we say something bad about her, she'll like turn it around and use it to become more successful.
Sure.
How can we get her? How can we get her? And you know they did.
They got
They
her.
did. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West got her.
Yeah,
I guess
they
we can
did.
start with her 73 questions. So this is like after the tour was over and right before the Grammys this is when all the Kim Kanye stuff happened.
Yeah.
So she is nervous, I think. And you can tell that like, I don't know, her media training, I think at this point made her seem very insincere. And like a format like the 73 questions is supposed to show you like off the cuff, being casual in your house. And I just remember watching this and being like, because I've met her a couple times, right? I've seen her in casual settings.
Yeah.
This is not that. This is
No.
like something.
I mean, they're in your house with like 70 cameras. Like.
Yeah, it's true. But some celebrities manage to make it seem, and it's within her reach to be like that. But I think that she was being so beyond controlling over how she wanted to come across that there was no way it was going to seem authentic.
Sure.
So.
What is something that recently moved you?
The movie The Martian.
Okay, what do you have going
She's
on
got like
over
a 3-second
here?
delay
This
so
is
she
where I
answers the
write a lot of
question.
songs.
Nice. Which one took you the longest?
All Too Well, because it's a really emotional song. I kept putting it down for months on end.
It's
So
stiff.
is this the room where you keep all...
There's a word you might know. Check it out.
Yep, something tells me that's planned.
Nope, that was spontaneous. I'm a very spontaneous person.
What's it?
That describes this entire era.
Yeah.
Something tells me that was planned. No, I'm very spontaneous.
Yeah.
Literally.
You can tell that she sat down with like her PR marketing team, which is like, look, I've got these 73 questions going up.
What are we gonna say?
What are we gonna do? And they're like, okay, Taylor, it's fine. I know you're nervous. We're gonna put in little gags here and there
Yeah,
to like really
literally.
loosen up the mood. And
like,
she's just like, just go with the flow. She's just like, okay. She does it.
I'm just like, I'll do my human stuff. Would you like a pot of coffee?
Grammy.
People drink
there's
that.
a choice award right
I
there.
heard that people drink coffee. It's like robot malfunctioning.
What's your favorite cocktail?
Vodka Diet Coke.
That's not a cocktail.
What's your favorite?
It's just not. That is a
I mean,
drink.
if we're just saying...
It's really hard to watch because like the casual jokes and like quips she's trying to pull off are not landing.
No, but usually they
Girly.
do though, because like compare this to that Ellen interview we watched.
Right.
She was way more like obviously that was still like trained and studied, but it was a little bit more convincing. This to
Yeah.
me is like she seems scared.
This seems like a far reach from what I feel like her natural persona would be, whereas that Ellen interview, she had her girlish young charm to fall back on, which was very comfortable for her. And I feel like a lot of her responses back then were catered around that persona, which felt more comfortable for her. Whereas this is, I feel like, This is cool Taylor.
This is cool Taylor.
Cool
It
Taylor.
literally is cool Taylor. But yeah, I mean, during this time, she kept saying that she was so scared that like everything was gonna turn on her, and she was waiting for that to happen. And I think you can literally sense her like anxiety in this video.
Pathological.
So then, a couple weeks later, she wins Album of the Year at the Grammys.
Nice.
She cuts her hair coconut head. Have you seen that before? I hate this haircut. I drag it all the time. It's my least favorite
I
thing.
don't know. I think I
It looks
remember,
so
because
ugly.
I wasn't living for the Vogue interview hair either.
It was fine.
I don't think the part was a good idea.
I mean,
I don't
the
think.
1989 was actually a struggle era for the hair.
Yeah.
It was like, she didn't know what, she'd never had short hair before. She was like, what am I doing with it?
Yeah.
But so she wins Album of the Year again. So she won it for Fearless, and now she's winning it for 1989. So this is her winning, and she's brought her best friend Selena Gomez as her date to the Grammys. And she decides to, you know the song Famous?
Bye.
I Made That Bitch Famous, Kanye West's song. This is where their whole contention was over.
Yes.
That had, I think, just come out before this.
Yeah, I remember that was a big thing.
Taylor took her opportunity to respond.
Oh, I see the coconut head.
This is a robot feigning human emotion.
Yeah, it is.
The dress is a slay for me.
I don't hate the dress. I think the dress is. I mean, look, she's skinny.
That's
look,
what this
she's
era was
skinny,
about. She
yeah.
wanted to let us know.
I want to thank the fans for the last 10 years
You're welcome.
and the Recording Academy and as the first woman to win Album of the Year at the Grammys twice.
All the men on stage.
There are going to be people along the way who will try to undercut your success
girl.
or take
Selena's literally being held at gunpoint. And it's like, if you don't look emotional right now, you will die.
There are going to be people along the way who will try to undercut your success or take credit for your accomplishments or your fame. You'll look around and you will know that it was you and the people who love you who put you there. And that will be the greatest feeling in the world.
I'm sorry, Tori Kelly is literally me in that
No,
moment.
like-
She's literally sitting there like, what the fuck
What
is this
is
bitch
going
going off
on?
for? Like, sorry, in perspective, you just won Album of the Year.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge accomplishment.
And you're choosing to be
And
hateful.
you're choosing to be a hater. Like, and you can see it in her eyes as well. She's mad.
No, she's
She's
mad.
angry.
She's not happy.
And it's like, this event had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
You made it about this,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think you can just see the disconnect between what she thinks people want her to do and
Yeah.
what people actually want her to do.
Did she ever do a Kanye song?
Yes, she did.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to hear it?
Is it on the playlist?
It's not, but I can get it up for you.
I remember, like, how good is it though? Like,
Bad.
Okay, well, then I don't.
So fast.
well, then I
It's
don't want
called,
to hear.
it's called This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things, and it's just like, it's a silly song. It's not that terrible, but it's just like it's not interesting. It doesn't add anything to the conflict.
Yeah.
She still talks about it to this day. Like, it comes up, you know?
I don't think Taylor
Because it
forgets
launched a backlash, the Taylor Swift is over party, right? Like, that really
the
did
snake thing.
did
Yeah.
damage
It
on
really did
her.
damage.
So actually, before we get into the music from that, I guess we can look at the Taylor Swift is Over party, her response to it. This is how she felt about it. Because she did a big documentary called Miss Americana, silence for the name, where she like talked about what happened in those years of like silence following her being canceled for doing too much, basically.
Yeah.
So this is a clip from that.
When people decided I was
Oh.
wicked and evil and
The Reputation font.
Literally.
not a good person.
This was added in
That
by the
was the
fan.
one that I could have
Oh.
bounced back from.
No, like I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing at this
So
editing.
the editing is funny. The editing is funny.
Doing this for 15 years, I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of the. Just
Wait, was this like self-produced documentary?
just feels like it's more than music now at this point. And just most days I'm like, okay. But then sometimes I'm just like, sometimes.
Reputation sweater.
When people fall out of love with you, there's nothing you can do to
Here's the thing with Taylor.
Okay.
She practices strategic vulnerability, okay? You're never
course
gonna
she
get an
does.
unvarnished look at her psyche. And I don't think that we're entitled to that.
No.
But sometimes the varnished sensitivity seems a little staged.
Sure.
Like this moment, we're wearing a Reputation hoodie
Yeah.
and crying about Snakegate. I mean, it's all a little convenient, don't you think? Not that. But we did get a very candid moment. Actually, to your point on Skinny Taylor, she, for the first time, addressed her eating disorder, like her
I've
food
learned
issues.
over the years I'm a size 6 instead of a size 00. I mean, that wasn't how my body was supposed to be. I just didn't really understand that at the time. I really don't think
And she
defended
was
it
also just hanging out
to
with
anyone
twice
who
her
said,
level.
Exactly. I mean,
So
look
what
at
are you
her. She
talking about? Of course I eat.
does
It's
not
perfectly
look
normal.
well.
It also goes to show like just how far in her, I guess, psyche the control goes.
Oh, beyond. So the Reputation era that you're wearing was definitely a reorientation with her like relationship to the public. She was not on Instagram anymore. She turned off her comments, so like
Yeah.
nobody can participate or do over parties anymore. She was not hanging out with all the girl squad. She was not doing This Is My Bestie Forever, Carly Kloss. Really like locked down her life. She lost a lot of friends when she got canceled. And she just kind of kept everything, like played her cards close to her chest, I guess. Can you believe this woman's never been to therapy?
I
She
can.
said she doesn't need it.
I can actually. I can. Knowing how deep the control goes, I can.
Yep, you could see. She was like, I have my mom, that's all I need. I was like, oh my god, honey. They're really gonna get mad if I don't show you a song from Reputation. So would you rather do like a sexy song or like a vulnerable song?
I don't know which one's better.
They're both good. You pick.
Okay.
I'll give you the titles and you can tell me which one
Okay,
sounds better to
yeah.
you. Delicate or Dress?
Delicate.
Okay. This is probably the biggest hit from Reputation outside of Look What You Made Me Do.
Right.
And this is like the real story. Because Reputation is like, there's like 4 vindictive songs, and then the rest of it is like how she fell in love with her now fiance, we don't know, Joe Alwyn, her man, her stock man. He looks like a wax figure. I'm not convinced he's real. to be
Okay,
honest.
also just for context, I like everything past Reputation. Like Look What You Made Me Do is the last thing that I remember from Taylor before I sat down and
Really like tuned out, yeah.
No, genuinely. Like after post Reputation, I was just like, I don't know.
This is literally all.
I
new to you.
literally, this is
new
literally all
content.
new.
I think we can stop here.
Okay, I get it, and honestly, I really appreciate this actually because I feel like before what led up to this with her was with her taking herself too seriously, right? She's funny again.
Yes,
she's funny.
she's having fun again.
Yeah, she's funny.
She's being fun. She's enjoying her life.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the like the enduring hit from Reputation, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably one of the better songs on the album, I would
Okay.
say. Plenty of other songs, but you know, we really don't have a lot of time. So this is what we're gonna do for Reputation. Up next, so Reputation was dark. It was a character, right? She was like,
Sure.
look, she's being angry and like vindictive and cosplaying as like, I don't know, an IG baddie. So then after that, she did Lover, which I think she was trying to swing in the opposite direction. She was like, okay, now I'm back to being super happy and I was never sad ever.
That's concerning.
And unfortunately, for
Did it
me
flop?
specifically,
Did
I
it
mean,
flop?
have you heard the song Me before? Okay, so after Reputation, we were all like, what is she gonna do now?
Wait, me? I think I know this, and I think the only reason why I know this song is because Ziyi from Twice covered it.
I'm really sorry that she covered it because it's a horrible song. And this was the lead single from Lover, okay? Lead single. This was the Shake It Off of this
Okay.
album.
I mean,
Have you seen the video before?
I've literally only heard the cover.
Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything about it. You can draw your own conclusions. It is a duet with Brendan Urie. Would you ever pair them together?
Personally, I don't think Brendan Urie should be.
Allowed on Earth.
Yes, but also I was gonna say I don't think Brendan Urie should be allowed within 50 meters of recording studio again.
Literally. Well, you know what? And this is further.
15 feet to an iPhone with TikTok on it. But, like,
This is an example of why he shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, I know. What this,
that you'll never find another like me. Find another like me.
yeah, I know this song because see you covered this.
It makes me so upset. It's so bad, Maya. It's so bad. It's so bad.
They really tried to 9 in the afternoon this.
Yes, they really did.
They really did.
They really tried to make this a
Which,
hit.
by the way, Pretty God was the last good album that Panic! At the Disco put out. Because since Brandon Urie's in this, I'm allowed to talk about this a little bit because that was more my realm in terms of like music growing up. So while Zach was doing like
This? Well, I was doing this.
no, when Zach was doing all of that, I was doing
All of this.
all of that. Yeah. So it gives I have specific context to relate this to basically.
Well, you know, let's just take a look at him being himself. I
Look, if
can't.
Will Schuster is a real person.
Will Schuster exists.
Will
He's on this
Schuster.
earth. His
name was Brendan
He's
Urie.
taunting us. He's torturing us. I mean,
That's all I wanted to see, by the way. I can't go further.
no, you need to hear it. She does this. They do this one line together, and it was so bad that Taylor edited it out of the song after it came out. Like it got roasted so hard. So here you go. Hey kids, spelling is fun.
What was the context here?
They were just gonna literally saying, girl, there ain't no I in team, but you know there is a me. Because the song is called Me. From a lyricist, she should be ashamed of herself. I've said
Yeah.
this many times. This is like absolutely atrociously bad. If you received that as like the lead single from your fave's new album, how would you feel about it?
Pretty devastated, to be honest.
And
I
we
mean,
had only this for 4 months.
I mean, thankfully, my fave has not had a flop title track, in my opinion. But I would be devastated.
I was completely bereft. It was a really hard period of time for me. Plus, like, the aesthetics of this era were just disgusting. Like, I think she was trying to court a young audience because
Yeah.
that's where the money is. And it's like, girl, you've been around for too long to be doing this, like, juvenile nonsense.
She really, like, English teachered them.
What you really need to see. Have you heard the song You Need to Calm Down?
No.
Okay, so Taylor decided that this was not only going to be her album of, like, happiness, it was also going to be her album of political commentary.
Ooh.
Do you want to hear Taylor Swift's opinions on politics?
She's a white woman.
Yeah, no, exactly. So
She's a white woman who has catered to a Christian Republican.
Taylor was like,
For a very
let
long
me,
time.
so she came out as a Democrat. That was a whole thing for her. She's like, I'm a Democrat in 2018. And it was like, okay, Willow, fine, sure.
What are you gonna do
Who
next?
cares?
Go?
So she decided that she was going to do a song for the gays.
Thank you.
This is her,
Thank you, Taylor.
this is her LGBT ally song. And she put, you know, all of our favorite queer heroes. Todrick Hall, the Queer Eye guys, Hannah Hart, do you remember her from YouTube? Yeah, all of the legends. Oh, and a scene of all the pop girls, Beyonce, Rihanna, Katy Perry, but drag queens. It's a classic line.
Shade never made anybody less gay.
Her fag hag era.
Oh, all the drag queens.
Over there on the internet.
What is she?
Who's that?
No. Why are they dressed like that? What is going on?
Can you see why I had a mental breakdown after these two songs came out? They came out like simultaneously, basically. It was me and then You Need to Calm Down. I mean, tone deaf is like not strong enough to start with what this is. Also, like it was all about gays, but then at the end she was like, this is also gonna be my formal reparation
Apology
to Katy Perry. The fact that Katy Perry even accepted the invitation to be in the video is like crazy to me because Taylor legit was like,
I will burn you alive.
I'm gonna
at the
ruin your
stake.
life,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's like, let's dress as a burger and fries. Ah! It's a lot, right?
It's a lot. It's a
The
lot.
Queer Eye guys, and then Rue is there randomly.
Why is Ryan
Exactly why?
Why is-
Literally why? It's like some of them I get. It's like okay, it's a song about gay rights. What is Katy Perry doing in it? And like why is Ryan Reynolds just like painting shit?
And I guess like that. Yeah.
The worst thing about this is
Yeah.
the song is not good. It's not a good song.
Yeah.
It's like you could forgive, like it's camp, I suppose. You could forgive the campness of it all if it was like a banger, but it sucks.
I mean, I don't even really think it's camp though, because
Be-
camp
yeah, because
actually
it
has
takes
to have
itself
signific-
seriously as well.
and
This
it
is
has
the
and camp
problem.
has to have like significance in a way that's like referential to either oneself or to something that's happening. And this, like Taylor singing about like gay rights is not referential.
No, it's not. You know what? The next time I get gay bashed, I'm gonna say, you need to just stop. Like, can you just not step on my gown? You need to calm down. Thanks, Taylor. Let's just use that. That's a really good one. That's what we all say. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
That's Taylor knows what gays say. She knows about shade.
Yes.
Shade never made anybody less gay. Good one, Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you one last thing to kind of
Okay.
top it all off. So obviously this era
Yes.
was a disaster. Like
Oh.
many people like to live in denial about it and say that it wasn't a disaster.
Okay.
Eventually there were good songs on the album, but like it was preceded by this absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
And that kind of turned people off. They were like, this is juvenile, we don't want to hear this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
where's the good writing gone?
Sure.
So during the pandemic,
Sure, where's the good
literally,
writing
where's
gone?
the good writing gone? So this era got cut short by the pandemic. Literally, God smiled down on her and was like, "Look, girl, let me help you." She was about to do like festivals all summer. He was like, "Shh, stop, no, pause." So, and in that pause, in 2020, she decided to do. Did you hear about Folklore and Evermore? They were her surprise albums that she dropped.
Are those the ones that she dropped like back to back? And it was
Yes,
just like,
the
what are you doing?
The sister albums,
Okay.
and like it was kind of revolutionary for her to be doing surprise releases because she's so calculated and thought through and everything. And also the major departure for this was that all of these songs were fictional. They were about like, well, allegedly, okay. I think many of them were inspired by real events, but it was a return to the form,
Okay,
yes.
the enchantment.
So this one is called The Last Great American Dynasty. She does her usual, like, this is a real country trick song. So have you heard about her Rhode Island house before? It's where she had all those crazy 4th of July parties. She bought this like massive sprawling estate in Rhode Island, and her neighbors hated her. Like they literally hated her and made her like miserable. They were like always giving interviews to the press being like, we hate her, she's like ruining the neighborhood, blah, 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 blah. But before she lived there, a female socialite lived there who caused a lot of chaos and wreaked a lot of havoc in the house. Okay. And Taylor was like, let me draw the parallels between me and her.
So she Great Gatsby'd herself.
She Great Gatsby'd herself. They're literally gonna scream at me because that's like not the best song to show you. But what I'm trying to show you is like the return to form.
She's giving lumberjack lesbian.
She is.
In this
she
styling.
is. And she worked with different collaborators here. She's kept her circle of collaborators very small. So she introduced Aaron Dessner from The National to give her that like indie cred.
Yeah.
And she has Justin Vernon come in and they do a couple of duets.
Right.
It's very like I'm gonna be an indie darling vibe.
Yeah.
These albums are really good. Like they're good songs to listen to. No pop like upbeat bangers. They're all kind of like moody mid-tempo stuff.
That's the impression I got when it was being that I remember people being like, oh my god, yeah, Folklore.
It's very laid back, I
Yeah.
suppose, for Taylor. You have the stamina to listen to another song?
Yeah.
Oh, she does. All right, then. I mean, they will literally attack me if I don't show it to you.
Okay.
So she announced it with this song called Cardigan.
Again, like this is lesbian cosplay. I hope you really. Okay, I just said that.
Do you see now why
okay.
people are like freaking out all the time about her being a lesbian? I guess
Yeah, no,
I guess there's some.
because this is lesbian cosplay.
She
like,
gives breadcrumbs.
I can recognize it. I get it. Okay, but like.
So she surprise dropped this with the album. Like the album dropped and the video dropped and the song dropped. So this is kind of the first taste of it all. She's in choppy waters. She's in trouble, and what happens? She sees a piano, and she clings to it, and it's her bridge over troubled waters, because she uses music to help herself. Okay, you get the idea.
I get the idea, but it's also funny because before, like, I feel like the start of her career, she was such a guitar girl. Now she's
I was like,
graduated
it's
to
my
a piano girl.
Yes, she is a piano girl. Well, she's changing her image, her vibe.
Yeah, it's dignified now.
So yeah, I mean, this is the Folklore Evermore era. She's
that.
more serious.
No, I see.
Do you have any like standout favorites from what you've seen so far? How has your perspective changed at the end of this?
I mean, like, I just took in like so much information.
You did, and now I'm gonna
Like,
force you
so
to like
much
dissect it because we're not gonna get another opportunity to check in with you on it.
It's true.
So,
Okay, well, definitely, okay, honestly, the flops do stand out to me.
I know that's why I left them until the
It's
end.
so hard.
It's so bad.
The flops, and of course, like, okay, honestly, like, I'm probably gonna get dragged to hell back for this, but, what's her magnum opus?
Red.
What was
To
the
me.
specific song?
Oh, All Too Well.
All Too Well, I feel like All Too Well didn't have, like, the biggest impact on me compared to other parts of her discography. And honestly, like, we did watch the abridged version, and, but I honestly feel like Dear John took me so hard by surprise.
Well, there you
that
go.
following up with All Too Well
Was too much.
Yeah,
well, a lot
it
of
was a
people,
back-to-back
Many
thing.
people are going to be like so happy to hear that because they think that, you know, Dear John didn't get a moment like All Too Well, so
Okay,
it kind of
fair
flies under the radar. But I
Okay.
agree with you that to me that's the real.
I feel like that for me as well, and also I'm literally being force fed these videos back to back, so like that also like as a part of
They
it.
kind of just all merged
Yeah.
together after a while.
But also just like the All Too Well moment followed directly from like literally back to back. We didn't have a second to breathe after Dear John, if you know.
It was, yeah, because they were consecutive albums.
It really, yeah.
Do you think any differently of her after this?
I mean, I definitely know like way more about her. She always had the image for me that she was a complex person because I, you know, in some ways kept up with like her rise and fall. So I figured, you know, and also like it's hard to like ignore Taylor.
Yeah,
like,
she's
you can't
everywhere.
Do it. I feel like I want to say like I kind of get her, but like I don't think I ever will because she's very much like here. I'm not saying that she keeps it real because clearly she doesn't.
She does not always keep it real. She keeps it moving. She keeps it moving. She changes it up.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where she'll go next. I mean, she's doing her re-recordings now.
Okay.
I don't really want her to stick with like the folklore stuff. I liked it. I liked the down tempo moment, but like, I would love to see her have a moment again.
She hasn't really had like a rock and roll moment.
The pop rock album. Maya, you're really like singing to my audience. This is like stuff that they love. Like the pop rock album, we're like, where is it? When is it coming? We want it to happen.
I mean, like she's in her 30s now.
Well, I think we can close this video by you testing out Taylor's perfumes. I'm gonna spray them on you. I'm just gonna give you actually the best one. This is Wonderstruck. It is her original album from this Dear John time. It's very, very basic. Maya is a fragrance connoisseur. That's why
I'm really not a connoisseur, which is the funny part. Okay.
You're interested in it.
I mean, she is sweet.
I love it. She is sweet. It's giving Bath and Body Works.
It is giving Bath and Body Works.
But a little zhuzhed up.
Yeah, a little zhuzhed up. I mean, like
vanilla-y,
this is
spicy,
definitely fruity.
Mm.
And this is definitely like something that would appeal to our audience to smell like, because it's. I feel, you know, despite it being like a little bit sickly, it's still innocent.
Yeah, it's decent. It's 10 years old also. That bottle is 10 years old.
Yeah.
So it's richer and fruitier and sweeter. Okay, well, thank you so much, Swifties, for tuning in. I will see you in my next video. Maya, do you want them to follow you on anything? Twitter, Instagram? Nothing?
I don't have anything.
No, Maya literally would like to remain anonymous. She's like, thank you. Okay, I will now go put her back in my dungeon where I keep her. Okay, goodbye, Swifties. See you in the next video.